USC's quarterback depth is skinnier than the cast of Wicked after a transfer portal departure. The Rams officially add 2 indispensable players for their playoff opener, and with arbitration out of the way, the Scribes refocus on hyping up false Dodger rumors. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it is January 9th, 2026. At long last, I am back in the home office. So if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. By all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a quick look at the scoreboard. There were no games involving LA teams yesterday, but today, pretty good schedule. Milwaukee is at the Lakers at 7:30. The Clippers are at Brooklyn at 4:30. USC basketball is at Minnesota at 5:30. Look, the Trojans are just 2-2 on the road, and they stunk up the joint all over Michigan, but there's a bigger picture here. It's Minnesota. Let's just hope that the team bus doesn't get stopped by ice. And the Kings are at Winnipeg at 5. The Jets are on an 11-game losing streak. The question is not whether both teams stink. The question tonight is which team will increase the intensity of their sucking. Stay tuned. What do you say we get to the news? Longstreet has told USC that he is going to enter the transfer portal, and I think we all saw this coming because most of us remember how impatient we all were when we were young. Not that Generation Alpha has an extensive music history, but Freddie Mercury back in the day sang, "I want it all and I want it now." And man, that is the siren song for quarterbacks. He played in 4 games for the Trojans as a freshman, and it wasn't enough, including a 9-for-9 throwing performance with a touchdown against Missouri State. He also rushed for a couple of touchdowns. The 5-star recruit would have been Jayden Maiava's understudy again had he stayed, but in my arrogant little opinion, that would have been optimal. See, the thing with Lincoln Riley's offense is he tailors everything to the quarterback skill set. The offense looks different under Maiava than it did under Caleb Williams. Williams back in Oklahoma to Jalen Hurts, further back to Kyler Murray, to Baker Mayfield, etc., etc. In other words, the 2027 Trojans would likely be every bit as prolific with Longstreet as it would be this year with Maiava. Now, for his part, Riley said the obvious, that unless you're Lamar Jackson, it's next to impossible to be a teenager and simultaneously be a Heisman candidate and a surefire NFL quarterback prospect. Quote, other than Jalen Hurts, we haven't had any quarterback that just came in and was the guy right away. Every one of them, all the guys that did all the things, they all had their time, and that time was valuable for them. Maybe they wanted to be playing, of course, the competitor in them. But if you asked them now, they are all damn happy that they had that time, unquote. So I don't know how much some of you guys at USC hate Riley, but that quote is correct. Even when Maiava replaced Miller Moss midway through 2024, Riley had to take time teaching the player nuance, and you saw the result. Instead, the Trojans quarterback room now is down to 2 with incoming freshman Jonas Williams. So USC is obviously going to add a quarterback through the portal. Moreover, this means it's also critical that Maiava doesn't get injured next season. But as for Longstreet, I don't want to spend any time clowning a teenager. We have previously listed quarterbacks who left Riley and their futures went straight to the bottom of the septic tank. It's been damn near 40 years since I was Longstreet's age. There's a lot I wish I could take back from there. And that's pretty much the big hint I'm dropping about that dude's future. If you're a USC fan, let me know what you think in the comments thread. Meanwhile, the Rams won't be at full strength in Carolina for their first round playoff game Saturday, but they should be happy as hell with 2 critical returns. And it's like a coin flip to decide which one of them is going to be more important. Devontae Adams is apparently healthy enough from his wonky hamstring issues to play, or safety Quentin Lake and how he's recovered from elbow surgery, which kept him sidelined for 7 games. So, regarding each, over the first year in LA, Adams resolved one of the Rams' biggest offensive flaws, red zone. He scored 14 times in as many games. Meanwhile, you look over at Lake, the former 6th round pick was so important that the Rams extended his contract while he was injured. The Rams like to disguise their defensive pass coverage. Sometimes they're in a cover 3, other times a cover 6. They also like to play in nickel coverage for almost the entire game. So you could see Lake lining up at either safety position, against the slot receiver, helping against the run. And keep in mind that very last part. The Rams' recent 2-game losing streak came against run-oriented offenses. However, their offensive line will not be intact for the first round game. Guard Kevin Dotson will be out with an ankle injury. He'll be replaced by Justin Dedich, who hasn't been terrible. Terrible would be DJ Humphries over at left tackle. But thankfully, Alaric Jackson's back. Look, as for Dedich, the Rams' interior offensive line will have to take into account a Pro Bowl defensive tackle in Derek Brown. So that's going to be a big thing. Wide receiver Jordan Whittington is also out, but I think all things being equal, I think the Rams are pretty content with their health going into the playoffs. The Dodgers avoided salary arbitration at yesterday's deadline. They managed to get 3 of their remaining eligible players, Anthony Bonda, Brock Stewart, and Alex Call, under contract. They all get 1-year deals, and all of us can move on with our lives, which means, yes, indeed, once again, the scribes are back talking about who the Dodgers are allegedly moving heaven and earth for. Please take note our updated whiteboard about who the Dodgers are allegedly going to move heaven and earth to land. And please also take note they've hit on 1 of 32. 1 out of 32. But even that hasn't stopped The Athletic from claiming that the Dodgers are a front runner for free agent corner outfielder / hospital patient Kyle Tucker. Curiously, the report also listed the Yankees and the Mets. So in other words, nobody but the 3 big market teams. How easy is that to create a story, right? Funny how that works out. Meanwhile, some other scribe said that the Phillies are going to meet with Dodger target Bo Bichette. To which I would say, guys, if the Dodgers haven't even met with Bichette, let alone made an offer, he's not a target. He's only a target in your fever dreams. Have some Tylenol, wait for the market to settle in, sleep it off. Sleep it off. Speaking of Dodger headlines that make you scratch your head, there was one in the New York Post that caught my eye. Shohei Ohtani's contract allowing Dodgers to build dynasty. They have 3 rings in a decade. They've won the last 2. What else do they have to do to prove that they're the team of the decade, which would make them a dynasty? Do you know that no other National League team has ever three-peated? It's never happened in the NL. Only the Yanks and the Oakland A's have. I bring this up because it seems to me that the Dodger haters are trying to argue two things at once. That this isn't a dynasty, and yet they've ruined baseball. This is about as close to a dynasty as a non-dynasty can be. Anybody want to explain this discrepancy? Go right ahead. But you're arguing two different things at once, and they're both in conflict. Did LAFC acquire damaged goods in a recent deal with Nashville? Forward Jacob Schaffelberg, less than 2 weeks after being acquired, has to have a degenerative issue in his groin worked on. Now, longtime viewers of this program know that we have a very strict don't discuss men's groins policy. But even I'm left wondering, degenerative issue in your groin? Are we talking about the little blue pill? Or maybe you met the wrong chick outside of a honky-tonk on Broadway? Degenerative issues in your groin. I'm tempted to, I realize I just asked a question I do not know if I want it answered. The Black and Gold also added a homegrown goalie in Cabral Carter to their roster. Best of luck. I am a big fan of the other LA soccer team. They have had suboptimal results from people named Cabral. But I digress. UCLA has added defensive lineman Gavin Blum, although not through the transfer portal. Blum is a junior college transfer from Saddleback. He was very productive there, 35 tackles, 5.5 sacks. Offensive lineman Derek Osman is coming as a graduate transfer from Harvard. And no day at UCLA football now can be complete without poaching somebody from James Madison's roster. Linebacker Drew Spinagati was a part-time starter with the Dukes. He's somewhat effective, 12 tackles for loss over 2 years. The Bruins also asked for a second chance with punter Chase Berry, who left Westwood for Oklahoma State. I'm assuming Berry realized he was standing in Oklahoma and then immediately loaded all of his worldly possessions on the next wagon train pointed west. So at last count, there are 16 incoming portal additions to UCLA. Angel City FC continues its false hope free agency public relations tour. They have added midfielder Taylor Suarez, another college player, on their alleged rebuild. The biggest of whoops. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about if you think Hassan Longstreet leaving damages him or damages USC more. For that matter, how optimistic are you about a Rams playoff run with both Quentin Lake and Devontae Adams? And if you enjoy the update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day, even when I bring home a head cold from Detroit. Thank you for watching. I'm James, and we'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Cortel Queso production. Take care.